You guys are here. Thank you for being here, celebrating hip hop's 50th anniversary. Let's give it up for hip hop, y'all. Show of hands. How many here has listened to music on their parents' record player? Oh, wow. Yes. Gen X in the house. Well, maybe Gen Z too, millennials. How many here remembers the song that resonated with them, felt deeply like impacted you? Just that feeling. Okay. So how many of you here have tried to break dance at least once? All right. I definitely know I have. Planet Earth was my place of birth, born to be the sole control of the universe. That line from Rakim on the song In the Ghetto defined this moment as we're talking about hip hop and my birth. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, 1975. Ever since I can remember, I knew about hip hop. And that journey of hip hop has been my through line, everything that I know. So even though I was born in New York, I was raised in the South, Charlotte, North Carolina, from the age of 2. So I knew, oh, Charlotte in the house? Yes, indeed. So I've always knew about hip hop. It felt like it was embodied in me at an early age. But particularly around 7 or 8, I remember a couple of songs that really impacted me. Herbie Hancock's Rocket. Nucleus, Jam on It. And White Lines, Don't Do It, by Melly Mel. Those 3 songs really something that resonated with me at a young age. So that, after seeing the films Breakin' and Crush Groove, I was trying to incorporate all the elements into my livelihood. So much so, I realized that my mom had a James Brown record, right? So, okay, by this point, I figured out, okay, people sample James Brown, so I'm going to be a scratch DJ on my mom's record. I ruined the record, I ruined the record player, and surprisingly, she wasn't as mad as I thought she would be. Because at this point, she was into gospel music, right? She was into gospel. She wasn't listening to R&B. She wasn't listening to funk. So years later, I told her that whole process, whatever. And she was like, well, if you told me what you were doing, I would have got you a DJ set. So if I would have told her what I was doing, I would have got a DJ set. For all the young kids out here, tell your parents what you're doing, and it may support you, or may not. So that love and that passion for hip-hop, it carried over. So with graffiti, it fueled my passion for graphic design and art making. B-boying, it bolstered my love to dance. But the music that was giving the message, the rap music, was feeding the self-discovery, the hunger for it, the seeking knowledge, and it was delivering the message. So this passion for hip-hop carried over all the way through to high school. By this point, I was embodying hip-hop, from the way I dress, from the way I talk, from the way I make art. That love transferred even when I went to college. So in 1997, 3 things happened that were very pivotal. 1, I started making beats. At this point, I was using an Ensoniq EPS sampling keyboard. So that just started the process of me like really trying to participate in this thing that I love. Second, this is 1997 in Atlanta, and I was designing T-shirts for Freaknik. So I don't know if anybody know about Freaknik? Okay, good. So I have to explain it. So Freaknik is this huge party in Atlanta where all of the folks from black colleges come to Atlanta and they party. I really wasn't a party dude, but I love hip hop and I love music. So anyway, me and my homeboy Joe sold T-shirts out of my trunk in boots just like these. And so granted, not these same boots, but boots that are like these. And so we went all over Atlanta selling my T-shirts. So I really want to embody hip hop in a way that's more than just me loving it, but being an active participant. So it really encouraged me to design my own ideas and to become an entrepreneur. That led me to later that year, the third thing, I moved to Chicago, where I went to design school. And at that point, I met Adik. So me and Adik have been friends since 1997. So back then, like, like, anybody can love rap music, but you can tell if somebody's a hip hop head. It's like, okay, you got your Timbs on, you got your hat, baseball cap, you got your swag. So here are two people coming from opposite ends of the country, meeting in the middle for hip hop. And I've been loving this dude ever since. And coincidentally, 10 years later, he convinced me to move out here to the Bay. So because of Adik, I am here. So give him a shout out. So everybody has their own story. Everybody has their own journey with hip hop. A lot of time it is defined by where you were born, what year you were born, where you were raised, and what music your parents exposed you to at a young age. So with that being said, we are here to celebrate hip hop. So before we go any further, we're gonna take a little break, 5-minute break, then we transition into our featured guests. Thank you, y'all. Peace.
Door legend sliding the Sade. White girl flew the profit out. I'm thugging through a heartbreak. Gotta make good, cause that last one was all shake. My word is A1, bro. Ain't that what they all say? Distorted lens, big body bends.
So the song you just heard just now was with Monty Draper and Adik, featuring Kevin Allen, who is here in the house. It's interesting to like have two people who I respect merge together. And so a lot of ways, the reason why I'm doing this really is to highlight folks who are my inspiration, a source of inspiration, and people who really embody the culture. And when you embody the culture that way, it becomes your tools that are necessary to really to function in this world. I know it has been for me. So when highlighting people, this really all started in me trying to identify my top 50 MCs. So this started last year. So trying to figure out what are my personal ones, not saying that these are the top 50 MCs, that everybody's gonna resonate with, is for me, right? And then trying to identify my top 50 songs. Then it became, what are my top 50 hip hop moments? That's really what this is all about, a moment that we're all sharing here today. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one of my personal top 50 MCs, Richmond's own Monty Draper.
Top 50 is crazy. Wow.
Yeah, dude.
Damn. Hi, everybody.
So, I forgot I had to start it that way, just to give it some context. And I know I shared it with you before, whatever, but it's something I just wanted to make it be known. And so what I'm trying to capture here, like, this is not scripted. I have no script. I don't know. He doesn't know what I'm really talking about. So this usually always happens is that he'll drop an album. That's all right, okay. That was a dude, but that line you said, put 5 on and call me 8 stacks. Like, who says that? So then we just started talking about how he made the song. Then we started talking about life, and then we started talking about music. So I want to see if we can recreate those moments in a way in front of people. So I don't know if it's going to work. It may or may not work, but we'll see. We'll all see together. So what was your first hip hop moment? So okay, there's a follow-up question to that. First hip hop moment, first rap moment, and then what was your first hip hop moment?
I kind of remember it, but I saw a video that kind of proved that it happened. My parents got married in '91, so I would have been 2. DJ Quick's Tonight was my dad's favorite song ever. But we hood black, so I'm in the wedding. I'm in my parents' wedding. Like I'm getting my hair cut and shit and everything. But they're 23. Mm-hmm. So my dad, his partners, they rolling weed. They got the drinks pouring, and somebody has a camcorder and they're filming the whole process. And I'm sitting in my dad's lap getting a haircut, and Tonight is on, and I'm doing this, and he's like, bro, you got to be still. You're getting a haircut. But I remember parts of it, but seeing the video is crazy. So I think it's that, like my first memory, but it's the whatever cologne they was wearing, the weed in the air, incense, like it's the more the smells and the feeling and everything, but that bass line of Tonight too, though, you know. So
I mean, it's so interesting how, like, when you're listening to music, there's a way to where it frames what's happening all around you. Like, that is a container for what's occurring.
Right.
The song, you're bopping, you're getting your haircut, the incense with the smell, and it is a way to where when I hear your lyrics, like, you're framing the picture, right? You give me the whole picture of what's happening. Right. And, you know, I've always, like, curious when you're writing, you know, does it start with the frame, or do you just kind of like, oh, I just have a thought and run with it? Like just talk about your process in making a moment with your music.
It's changed a lot, like from the early stages, like trying to be in control. Like, I want to say this punchline, or I want it me and bro, whenever we writing together, like, we'll sit on the opposite sides of the room, but it'd be like, hey, what you writing about? I'm like, shit, I don't know. But just taking a lot of the forced ego out of the process, and like just letting the song kind of write itself. So shit, it could be about something that happened that week to something I just read or whatever. It's different every time. It's never the same.
Yeah, and so there's a way where when I hear your music, whatever, I can visualize what's occurring. And you have this way to where it's like, so I consider Monty a bridge artist. And so what I mean is that when I talk about you, whatever, with other people, when I say this to people, like, oh, word? There's this bridge between the hip hop, like hieroglyphics vibe of like, where it's I guess backpack or whatever, or boom bap. But I feel like you're the bridge between Hyro and like E40 or mob music. Like that space. I mean, there's other rappers like Simba, right, and Kevin Allen, of course, whatever. But like, there's that bridge of like, you could tell that you are a student of hip hop. Like you study it. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And so, how early did that start of you? Like, okay, all right, I know I'm doing this wherever, but I need to find out what's happening in Atlanta. I need to find out what's happening in New York. I need to find out what's happening in Miami. Like, what encouraged that thirst for just knowing the history of it?
We talked literally this morning on the phone, like low-key ranting to each other, but if you play the game, if you're a hooper, it would behoove you to know well beyond the generation that inspired you. Is like, why, like, if Kevin Durant is your favorite player right now, why is he that nice? Yes. Why is LeBron your favorite player? Why is Steph your favorite player? Who were their favorite players, and then who was their favorite player's favorite player? And just learning the history of the game. And music is the same. My parents were 21 and 23 in the height of the golden era, like 91, 92, 93, 94. They're in their early 20s, so they didn't stop listening to music because they had kids, you know. And then they're also not the ones like, don't cuss in front of them. They totally didn't. That didn't matter to them. So we got to listen to all this shit. It wasn't you couldn't watch R-rated movies. You couldn't listen to none of that. So seeing New Jack City and Juice and Menace and all that stuff in real time, when my peers, that's why everybody say I got an old soul too. Like my god brother, my dad's sisters are exactly 10 years older than me. So when they're 13 going through their teenage years getting all the music, but I'm going to Sam Goody with them and hearing Return of the 36 Chambers for the first. I remember my auntie going to buy that CD and like listening to that with her in real time. So that all right, now you're talking about like the current golden era, but now I'm of age and it's country grammar, and I'm like, okay, but my OGs is like, this shit is terrible, and I'm like, but I kind of get it, you know. I kind of see where they're coming from. And then fast forward to college, and it's the internet rap, it's Irk, it's Crit, it's that whole Currency, Wiz, the little mixtape Lil Wayne, like all of that shit is just dominating. But there's a certain cutoff to where the backpackers didn't fuck with that shit, and vice versa. So a lot of it gets lost in translation. But I just so happen to just really care for all the entire diaspora rap for real. And it's dope to be seen as a bridge, because it's they're not that far off. It's like your hood cousin and your cousin that's not gonna be outside with the shit. Like they're at the same Thanksgiving. You know what I'm saying? Like they're the same. It's not. I don't know why we act like it's so far removed. Like, yeah, I might not appear as a street nigga, but I'll beat your ass though, for real. Like it's you can totally be both. You know. And that's the music. That's Outkast. That's Dre and Big. Like that juxtaposition where Roses can sound like a love song, but it's an anti-love song. Like there's really creative ways to embed it in the music, but still want the bass lines to mob, but still want the drums to be loose. Like anybody that's read the Dilettante book understands the combination of both the straight and the swing, and he was the first one to kind of, no, you can do both. You don't have to just be one thing, and it's the same with the music too.
Yeah, because I've read the book too, whatever, and it told his story, but then I love how the writer, the author, he juxtaposed what was happening around him, or what happened before him, and what happened after him. And so to sort of witness the music happening in real time. So I had lived in Atlanta from 94 and 97. And we talked about this, and so when I was there, I just came from Charlotte. I was going to, I was in college, in the height of, Freaknik and everything. This is when all the people from the East Coast were moving down to Atlanta, and Too Short was out there as well during that time. And there was this thing to where I'm always curious about when artists who are kind of innovative from their city, do people in their city rock with them? And I remember like living in Atlanta, and I would see Outkast shopping at Marshall's, buying luggage. Literally, they were they were in Marshall's. I'm coming out. No, they're coming out. I'm going in. And seeing Dre just like, I'm in the club waiting to get in, and he's walking in like, but he had this whole other kind of different swag. And I'm always curious, like, it feels like they weren't getting that much love in this while they were popping until after the fact. Until after, the explosion of Atlanta music or trap music, whatever, in 2000, then they were like, oh yeah, that's where Outkast is from here. Right. But it's almost like, but while it's happening, I just don't feel it. And so another reason why I want to talk with you with that, and the reason why I love talking with you is that I get the privilege to see it sort of in real time. And so I think we met, was it 17? I think 2017. Around that time, and I just been following your music ever since. And I don't know who made the first move. I don't know who reached out to who, but I'm always curious. Like, you're making your music in real time. I'm seeing it in real time, right. And so it's a privilege for me to like have friendship with you to talk about what your process is and what you're doing. But I want to make sure people see the brilliance of what you're doing in real time. Not like, oh yeah, Monty, he was the one back in, in 2022, right. But, like in 25, people find out about you later. Right. What does it feel like to actually be in real time making your music? Like, do you feel the reception here in the Bay? Like, do you feel it? Is it there?
Damn, that's a crazy question. Because it's complicated, right? Like, I think what I've been able to learn over the last few years is like ain't nobody hating on you, for real. Like if it feels like you're not being seen or whatever, you just ain't worked hard enough. But don't nobody got enough time to hate on you. Like it's people trying to pay their bills and all kind of other shit. Like it's not they're not that pressed to get in your way. But when the region is known for a particular sound and your sound don't quote unquote fit, then it may take a little bit longer to rise to the top or carve out a space for yourself. And I think that's been the learning, like on just being ain't no rapper telling me I can't eat, basically, is the mindset. Is like if in any event I do settle for I'm slept on or whatever, then that's just, I will be, bro, that was nice a few years ago, because I let that become the narrative as opposed to just taking the feedback. We did an opening listening session for NLF and just got notes from everybody that pulled up that day. Yeah. And what happened when the album came out is like everybody felt like it was theirs. They felt some ownership. So it was something to be said about being intentional about cultivating community first. And that's what we've done with GN is really just be intentional about creating our demo versus going everybody's hating on us. It's not true. You just got it's just a slower process to go find your people. But to do it, if you could do it here, shit, the world is gonna be a breeze for you. But it's something to be said about getting love in. I won't even say the Bay, but getting love in Oakland. I'm not from Oakland, you know what I'm saying? But every article, every time they announce me, is like Oakland rapper, and I'm not gonna call the editor and tell them to change it. It's like I mean, it means a lot to be even associated with a city with this much rich of a history of contribution to culture overall. It's not just music. It's people come here for our food, for how we dress, for all like our ideas, our activism, like all these different things they come to the Bay, but specifically to Oakland for. So I remember I did like a lot of artists. I went through that phase of like, man, sleeping on me, and it's like, well, you could do something about it. And the last few years have been we've been in rap camp for the last 4 or 5 years of just trying to get better every day and not settling for that narrative of the.
Yeah, I feel like I love how you said, like, you know, you're almost like you're growing with your community, like, hey, all right, here's, like, pull up, we're doing a release party, so early access to it, because then they'll become your advocates. They'll become like, yo, have you heard of Monty? Have you heard of Kevin Allen's new work? Like, those folks will become the people that would kind of be almost like your salesperson, right? Because, I mean, you know, you're a brilliant MC, whatever, and you're super dope, but there's a way to where you have a song called R.I.P. Humble. And how do you talk about yourself, right, in a way that isn't like braggadocious, but at the same time, like, I am actually dope. Right. Actually, I kind of really am, though. But there's an openness of, like, you know, I'm not going to act like I'm all of that, but I am all of that. Right. You feel like you kind of have that.
That's Hove. That's Ye. Ice Cube was clear, like, none of y'all can fuck with me. Like, he made that clear, and you can totally be that. And I think that's even like to keep referencing Hoop. It's like, you know, the Hoopers know who the Hooper is, you know. So it's like the same thing with rap. Like, don't fuck with him. Like, don't nobody play with me. So it works.
Talk about the Hooper, because like I know we talk all the time, but we don't talk much about your life as an athlete. Like, can you talk a little bit more about that? And even too, like, in talking about that, is there any overlap with when you were an athlete into now being an artist? Is there in there? Because I know you reference it sometimes in your bars, but what was that transition from being an athlete to now being an artist?
All y'all favorite rappers that hooped, I cooked all of them. So the next time you see them, make sure you remind them of that. Is from Fairfield, Sac, all the way to the city of San Jose, like that it was a real thing. In the Bay, we got boy Aaron Gordon. AG just won the championship this year with the Nuggets. Like, that legacy and that lineage of just really high quality, high competitive athletes is a real thing. So to come from that soil, it means a lot. But the overlap is 3/4 of us were making music simultaneously. Like, Pilo's house was the house you went to make music, because his older brother Kuya produced, but he was on the hoop team. So it was like, after practice, you want to go make a song? Like, yeah, that sounds good, you know? So it's all connected in that way, where because of hoop, I got to see another side of the Bay where a lot of my partners, they didn't leave Richmond, they didn't leave our block, but I get to be in the East every summer because we practice at EOYDC or Bishop O'Dowd. So I got real town partners that I've known since I was 6, you know. And the same thing with Vallejo, playing in their league because we went to church out there. So all the Vallejo homies are like real family at this point, you know. So for me, it's connected because I see a lot of the same people from hoop. They either working, like, and they're not just rappers, they're producers, they're A&Rs, they run studios, they own studios, you know, they own booking agencies and stuff like that. So it's really dope to see how the community is ever present, and like cultivating something. You got to really be, if can't nobody validate you, it just takes longer, you know. You got to kind of build that rep.
So you mentioned Richmond, and, you know, there's a way to where I know emphatically you're from Richmond. Like, I know that. But your music, I feel like it's sort of kind of beyond Richmond too. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, yeah, I'm here, this is where I'm from, but my perspective is sort of like, it's in space, it's in, different parts of the country, different parts of the world. And so, but I love how you still root yourself within Richmond. Just how you mentioned with the Hoopers, like some people never left Richmond. And so dude, that's a great balance you have though. Because some people were like, oh, like, I remember when I was really exploring Nipsey Hussle, right? And because there's a certain like taste of music I like, I may not listen to his music as much, right? And so, and when you have a particular taste, wherever you may not explore other artists, right. You know what I'm saying? Like, even in doing this event, we talked earlier. Oh, I want to do talk about Bay Area hip hop, and let's have a whole thing where then OG Penn that was his story to tell, not mine. Right. My taste is definitely like rooted in. I'm born in New York, raised in North Carolina. Lived in Philly. Lived in Chicago. So my like Tim's and fatigues. This is what it is. Right. But sometimes if you don't have, if your taste is not what somebody's listening to, wherever, then you're going to miss out. You have this ability to have different styles of rap or different ways of beats being made, but it still sounds like you. And sometimes when if I'm not gonna not be like, oh, I'm not gonna try to knock something that I don't really rock with. Right. But when Adik had made this remix with Nipsey Hussle on one of his beats, like, oh, I've been missing out on Nipsey Hussle because of that, because of my taste of like, I need to hear boom bap, I need to hear soul samples. How do you pick your songs? How do you I'm gonna be real with you, dude. I've never said this before. Like I mentioned earlier, I make beats as a hobby. Sometimes I want you like, man, I want to rap over this. Should I send it to him? Like, would he? Send everything. Well, no, but see, but I want to. There are certain boundaries within friendship, right. And I don't want to create a whole nother level to. All right, well, Mike, I don't know if I really liked it. I mean, I don't know if and then I don't want to create that. So sometimes I'll just rap on your beats. Like I'm like rapping to myself. And so how do you pick your songs? What's that process like determining, because you produce as well. What is your taste? Do you have a particular taste in hip hop?
No, absolutely not. Because everything is, especially when you get to like break shit down to you. Dave Grohl, he's talking to Pharrell from, but they're talking about the drums on Teen Spirit. And how they're just funk. It's just a funk rhythm, but just played on an acoustic set, and they got grunge riffs over them and Kurt singing, but it's the same backbeat. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So it's crazy. What's the Ox God? That game, we were playing it at the house last night, and one of the questions was a Backstreet Boys song. I'm the biggest Backstreet Boys fan. But got roasted for it as a kid because it was these white boys on the stage singing and dancing. Mm-hmm. It's fucking full force making the songs the whole time, so I'm not crazy, bro. Like, I know what I'm talking about. So you start there, just musically, and remove all these weird shit that we take, because art, and that's another thing too. Some of you talk about boundaries. Some of the boundaries that we know and the collective principles we share in everyday life. Sometimes it'd be all bets are off in the studio. Like, let's take it there for real. Like, say, rap in a completely different, that's Kev's favorite thing. Rap like somebody else. Be somebody else. Rap this verse like that. And second you start putting that in practice, man, the discovery is so crazy. So I don't know. Sometimes we don't know what the hell we working on when we go to the lab. Now, there's not this force or this need to be like, I like this beat, or this, I want to do this. It's because somebody in the lab may have the beat that we're working on that day, and that's what we're working on, because that's what inspired everybody. Don't have to make the beat. don't have to be all over the song. Being a part of a group is some of the easiest shit in the world. You just gotta have a 16. That's it, bro. It's really dope. But I'm right. It's Passwords is sitting right here writing this rap. I better come with it, you know. And so I think that's really been cool too. Like my girls here, it's like I've even been like, what do you like? Like we listened to the SZA album in the summer and the new Summer Walker shit on repeat, and I'm just watching her react to the music, and it's inspiring what I'm making as a producer right now. So it's just taking cues from everybody around you. The foster kid boys are they're my favorite because they listen to Young Boy, something came on. Never would have made that came on the other day, and he knew the song word for word, but then started rapping NBA YoungBoy. I was like, how do you go back and forth like that? It's something to be said for not, just not having no boundaries in terms of what you allow to touch you, as like your spirit and your soul and move you. And we're trying to put that a lot into the process of making music now, especially writing raps, trying to find new pockets and new flows and shit. Just push yourself and be challenged, really.
Yeah, it's because I think if you're rooting it in music, not just like rap or not just like hip hop, we're just music first, right. And then that will determine sort of the approach that you'll take, whatever. So, and that's what I noticed in your albums or your work is that it's rooted in music, and it feels sort of organic, like you said. Like I know you mentioned Grand National a little bit. Like, has that journey in Grand National changed your perspective and how you make music?
Every way possible. Like, just literally, bro. Like, not even the same person no more as a creative. And it was so like, I want to do this thing. I. Yeah. But go read the liner notes for Doggy Style, and look how many people are on that record. But it's Snoop. Yeah. It's a Snoop solo album. But it's DOC coming in and editing the raps and shit. Or here's Daz actually producing the beat, and Dre just comes and mix it. And then by the time they get to All Eyes on Me, Quick is in the mix now, and it's like, nah, Dre, I got it. Mm-hmm. But these are the juggernauts that have no problem working together and taking an idea from the next person. It's like, then who are we? Like, who am I to go, nah, that's a bad idea? Or not listen, or I don't want to do it because it's my idea. And so I even in the beginning, I had to, it was like school, where I was rewiring and getting away from the traumas of it needing to be my thing. And so now to be recognized on I won't say the back end, but after having gone through that, it's connected. It's clearly connected. I've been at art school for the last couple of years, basically. That's how I look at it,
Yeah, because I was listening to, what was the album you had was it 2016? Oh my gosh.
Last Marauder.
Last Marauder. Was that your first?
Technically, like it was first like label. That was an Empire release, so it was like technically the first thing for sure.
So the first album I heard you on was Rock, RAWK, yeah, with DJ Flow. I think that was around the time we met, because that was in 2017. So Last Marauder, I remember seeing the photo, but I never realized that was an album cover. So I was listening to it this past week, like, yo, it sounded like you're consistent. I know your work is elevated, but if there's a consistent, like, almost like you fully arrived. You know what I'm saying? Like you came into like fully arrived. I remember there was this conversation with LL Cool J. They were talking about how he did his first album like he was 15 or 16 years old, but he didn't sound like a 15-year-old rapper. He sounded like a man, right? Last Marauder felt like, was that when you found your voice? Is that when you found your pocket? Like at what space did you find your pocket as an MC? Because it felt like Last Marauder, your cadence, how you say your words, like I feel like it's the same. It's elevated now, but I feel like it's almost the same vibe.
You called it you said the music, mm-hmm. And so that's why I count Last Marauder as the first, because it's when I started producing too. The EPs and tapes before that I wasn't producing. I was just like getting beats, but then still do the sequencing, even if they only sent the 2-track, would re-edit the 2-track and kind of remix with literally just that one wave file. And it was Kate Lamont, the first session we ever did together. She was like, "Yo, you're a really dope producer," and no one had ever said that shit to me before. And I was like, "Wait, what?" She was like, "Yeah, you just produced them vocals. Like I wouldn't have sang that song like that." And I was like, "Damn, that's crazy." So then from then on, I was like, "I think I want to produce my next project," and then it happened to be Last Marauder. So B. Simmons was living out in Dubai, and I would literally just hum melodies and send it to B, and he would send it back, and I would chop that in the machine and then sample what he played. So it was like I wanted the feeling of like Dre would find a sample, but then have the musicians come replay it. So it was really the music, and then all the music would get made, and then I would rap to it, but the music would have to get made first, and just kind of create this larger than life feeling. But it was Last Marauder where I figured that out though, for real.
Dude, like, you know, I just want people to really know how much I love this dude. Real talk, like, you know, you mentioned producing, so you produce and you write. Is that something where you kind of how did that start? Like, you like, all right, I've been writing for all this time now. Now it's time for me to produce. Do you kind of do it simultaneously? Do you do it separately? Like first the beat, then you write, or you have the idea, then you make the beat, and then you write? Like how do those things overlap?
Sometimes they don't at all. Like the last week, because of what I've been listening to, just made Riga and Jane a pack, because they were just on my spirit this week. So it's like, Rig, here go 2 joints for Rig, here go 3 joints for Jane real quick, and it'll happen like that. And then last night, I found an old demo that Kevin Pass have, and I was like, oh, they need this. So it's really weird with the production stuff, and the melody and stuff may come, but the words are a total separate process, because now, like after the recording process of Nothing Lasts Forever, I need every song to mean something. It was the first time in a long time where we collectively knew the mission was to make the songs have meaning that could outlast us. And so now it's like, all right, I really don't like to be sent beats, and then I don't really like to write if it's not in the studio. It's crazy how that process has changed. But making the music, or sit down to make a beat, sound design, field noises, like that never stops. Like right now, it's like this hum. This is happening. That it's weird. The music never stops, but the writing is a separate thing. And I try to keep them separate, but sometimes they do just happen. Like the beat will get made, and then immediately it's like write the song, but it's never the same.
So talk about writing. Like I said, when I'm calling, but yo, that line you just said, and on your most recent album, on 33 album just dropped. When did it drop?
The deluxe just dropped. Was that 2 weeks ago?
2 weeks ago. Yeah. Y'all, you have to hear this album. I'm looking dead y'all outballs. You have to hear this album. On Jennifer Drive, you had this line that said, and it's funny. So when I heard it, I'm like, oh shit, I got text him this line, because he said it. I never heard him say it. But I was like, wait a second, maybe if you're having a vulnerable moment, you know, not everybody, when you're vulnerable, not everybody needs your vulnerability. You don't need to give out your vulnerability all the time. Sometimes it's just for you to help you process whatever you're going through. You don't have to share it, but you share your vulnerability.
Right.
And in this line you said, I'm keloid like a slave, that shows that my skin is tough, or something, how you said it, right? So you said, I'm like, whoa, you said it. And I've known you long enough to where at one point you didn't have your keloid.
Right.
Can we talk, I mean, for you, when you wrote that line, was this your first time kind of like naming it and saying it?
I said it, but hella like artsy, and you know, like never like to the point. That's what we've been working on too, is like just say the thing, so it's not vague, or there's any, like, I don't know, confusion left. Just say it so it lands, and it landed clearly. And that was kind of the point. But I had never said it like that, and I remember that day being like, damn, that felt good. But it's for me, it's my journey, it's my diary, and that a breakthrough and something I've had to work on because now we're doing press or we're doing shows and people can't help it. It's the first thing that happens. Like they try to look at you in the face and immediately they just like what the. But kids are hella funny because they'll be like, "Hey, bro, what's that?" Like they'll just say it immediately, and it's helped with my comfort in not wearing a hood in 100-degree weather. Like, bro, we did Europe because of the Rock album, and I wore a hood for the whole tour, bro. It was the most excruciating shit ever, and I was like, never. Not if I'm a rap for real. I'm not gonna hide. I'm not gonna stand on it. And there was a lady after the first surgery. She was like, "Damn, where'd they go?" She's like, "That's how I know you. Like that's literally your thing. It's like why like you got given the thing to make you stand out and you took it away." And I was like, "Oh, that's a crazy way to look at it." Mm-hmm. And then my grandma's who I got the runaway line from because she was talking about when the doctor was explaining to us why they keep reoccurring, and it's just skin cells. Like when you get a cut, when most people get a cut. Your skin knows to repair itself and then stop once it's replaced the layer of skin that was moving. My skin cells don't register that shit at all, so they keep healing. They keep healing. They keep on skin on top of skin on top of skin. And my grandma was the one that pointed that shit out. She was like, "Damn, you just super healed." It was like, "Oh, that's kind of tight," So just as cool ways to find peace as something I gotta live with and still gotta mob with because I'm still doing this thing that requires me to perform and be out front and to be confident and own what I'm saying and what I'm presenting to the crowd, bro. So it's that Jennifer Drive is one of my favorite songs I've ever done, but it's mainly because of that line.
Yeah. Give it up for Bonnie, y'all. So we're probably going to wrap up here soon. The thing I wanted to share with you that I don't think I ever told you before is around that time before we met, I remember seeing you. Oh, wow. We were in front of Soul Space, actually. See Jeff in the house. And we were in front of Soul Space, and I think it was Aaron Miller, I think, was doing a video, whatever, and you were like, I remember seeing you, right? And the person who I saw then, the person who I see now, it was almost a completely different person. And there was a way to where, at that moment, I remember we met, we connected about a year later, and you wrote for my magazine. You wrote for 3 of the 2 magazines I did. You wrote for 3 of the feature stories of of Umber. And so I just want to say, dude, like, it's just an honor to see your journey and to see it in real time and to be a part of it in any kind of way that I can. And there's times where you perform, man, I should have went to a show, whatever, but I'm a hermit. I like to be in the cut, in the crib, you know what I'm saying? But dude, you're an amazing artist. And thank you for being here and being a true, authentic artist that you are. So I just want to give you some love on that, man.
My brother. Thank y'all for pulling up today.
And it's nice to see